Yo YouTube, what is the crack? Welcome to the vlog. So this video is going to be all about how I've gone about achieving my current physique over the past few years, like the main factors involved. And before I get started, I do want to say that I don't think I have the best physique in the world. And there are obviously plenty of people out there with a better physique than mine, but I do think it's okay, it's above average, it's desirable to some extent. So yeah, I want to share my tips and my wisdom on the topic. So before I get into it, I do want to give you a bit of a background. So I'd say I have been properly lifting since I was 17 years old. So I'm 22 now. So yeah, I've been taking lifting pretty seriously for the past 5 years. And I want you to keep that in mind throughout the video, because all the things and all the factors that I mentioned, I've been doing them fairly consistently for the past 5 years also. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing that I want to talk about is training. And I don't want to talk about a specific training program or anything like that. I want to talk about consistency. So for the past 5 years, I've probably been getting to the gym on average 5 times per week. And I feel like I owe a lot of my progress to that alone. So I don't think that you need the most optimal training program in the world to make considerable gains, and simply showing up and going to the gym often, lifting weights is gonna result in good gains. And that's not to say that training program design isn't really important, because it is. But I do think as long as your training split and as long as the exercises that you're doing aren't completely ridiculous, then you're gonna make pretty good gains. For example, I have been on plenty of programs over the years. So at first I was on a bodybuilding split where I had a specific day for chest, shoulders, legs, arms, etc. And then I moved on to a powerlifting split because I was competing, and now I'm on a push-pull leg split, and I've made pretty good gains on all of them. And that doesn't mean that they're all as good as each other for muscle hypertrophy, but I've just been really consistent, spent 5 hours on average in the gym per week for the past 5 years, and yeah, that's definitely one of the main reasons I have the current physique that I do. Okay, so the second thing that I want to talk about is nutrition. And I do think that if building a better physique is your primary goal, then you need to spend at least a period of time tracking your calories and macros. And I say that because I remember when I started tracking 4 or 5 years ago, that it was just such a big learning curve. So I remember realizing literally straight away that I was not getting enough protein. So I upped my protein intake right away. And I also think that it will help you stop some of your pretty ridiculous eating habits that you don't even realize you're doing. I remember before I started tracking calories and macros, I used to bring a big bag of cashew nuts to the cinema because they're cashew nuts, they're healthy. And I just thought that was grand, good fats, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember the first time I scanned them in when I started tracking calories and macros, and I saw the calories and I was like, oh my God. That is ridiculous. And it's safe to say that I never ever done that again. And I'm not saying that cashew nuts are bad for you or anything, but I'm just saying it'll help you realize whoa, there are so many calories in them, I need to decrease my portion size. Or wow, the macronutrient breakdown of this food isn't as good as I thought it was. And yeah, so tracking calories and macros is really, really useful, and it's something that has definitely helped me build the physique that I currently have. So the third thing that I want to talk about is alcohol. And it's pretty unfortunate, but alcohol and muscle growth just don't get along. And that's for a number of reasons. So first of all, alcohol is catabolic, which basically means that, just say you went and done a killer chest session one day. If you went out on a session afterwards, the amount of muscle repair and muscle kind of rebuilding and growth that would have occurred after that chest session is seriously decreased because alcohol is in your system. And secondly, I think that alcohol just affects the standard of your workout. So if you've ever trained hungover, you'll know what I mean by this. You're usually just not able to lift as heavy as you usually can. You're not able to do as many sets, as many reps, and it's usually just a bit of a shit session. And sometimes that can carry on into the next session as well. So let's just say you went out, or you go out once a week every Saturday. So the gains that occur from your Saturday morning session are going to be affected because alcohol is in your system on Saturday night, and your Sunday session is going to be shit, and that's if you even go. And sometimes that can carry on into the morning session, or into the Monday session, I mean. So if you go to the gym like 5 or 6 times a week, over 50% of your workouts are going to be affected because you're drinking alcohol. And that's just something you kind of need to weigh up. And it's something that I weighed up like a good few years ago. So yeah, I just kind of made the decision to like skip the smaller nights out, like not be, you know, a social drinker and go to the pub for a few pints or whatever, and just save myself for the bigger occasions. And yeah, I just weighed it up and I was like, yeah, like my physique means a lot more to me than going on these smaller nights out. And that decision has definitely helped my training and hence my muscle growth and my physique over the years. Alright, so the next thing that I want to talk about is genetics. So it would be pretty ignorant of me to ignore the fact that my genetics are probably above average. They're not like freak genetics or anything like that, but they are fairly decent, especially around my chest and my ab region. So yeah, in terms of my chest, like, it's always had that pretty large full appearance, and I remember when I was first starting out, it was one of the first places that I saw considerable muscle gain. And then in terms of my abs, they're like one of the last places that I gain fat when I'm on a bulk. So I could be like 12 or 13% body fat and still have basically full 6-pack abs. And you could compare that to someone else that is an identical body fat percentage and they would have like no abs. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky in the sense that I can basically go in a full bulk and still maintain my 6-pack even when I get to the peak of the bulk. And you know, not many people have that luxury. So yeah, I'm pretty lucky in that sense. And it's obviously also great for Instagram pictures and stuff like that, because you know, that's the reality, that's the world that we live in. I think, you know, people just like seeing 6-pack abs. So yeah, but don't get disheartened if your genetics are like below average. You can still achieve like a really good physique, but it's just going to take maybe a little bit longer. And you're just going to have to work a little bit harder. And having, you know, really good genetics is usually the difference between like a really good physique and a great physique. So if your aspirations aren't to step on stage at like Mr. Olympia or whatever, then the role of genetics, you know, don't worry about it too much. Alright, so my final point is just like all to do with patience. So I was pretty aware early on that, you know, my physique wasn't going to change overnight, and that it was going to take me like, you know, a couple of years for people to even start realizing that I go to the gym. And sometimes like I wear clothes now, like look at me now, like it doesn't really look like I go to the gym. So yeah, I was like pretty aware of that early on. I knew that it was going to be a long road to get to where I wanted to be. I'm still not at where I want to be, and you know, I've been training and eating like properly for like 5 years now. And that's where I think you just kind of have to fall in love with the process. So it gets to a stage where you don't go to the gym to see gains. It gets to a stage where you go to the gym just because how it makes you feel. Like you love lifting weights and stuff like that. And that's kind of where you need to get to if you really want to achieve a good physique. Because if you're looking for gains every day in the mirror, then you're literally going to drive yourself crazy. So yeah, they are probably the main factors that have helped me get to where I am today in terms of my physique. And yeah, you probably realize that it's not that easy. Like you're gonna have to be pretty consistent. You're probably gonna have to learn how to track calories and macros. You're probably gonna have to sacrifice the odd night out, and you're just gonna have to learn how to be patient too. But yeah, as I said, if you just kind of learn to like fall in love with the process, as cheesy as it sounds, none of them things are chores anymore. They're just kind of what you do. They're second nature. They're a part of you. And if you get to that stage, like you're absolutely laughing. Anyways, that is basically it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one.